Have you ever noticed how January 1st doesn't really feel like a true new beginning at all? I mean, especially if you live somewhere in the north like I do. It's cold, it's dark, everything's kind of slow and inward. It's not exactly the energy of fresh starts and big momentum. And it's always kind of felt a little arbitrary to me. And yet, that's what we're told, right? Like, new year, new you. It never quite matched up. I never really got it. It didn't make sense. And over time, I started to realize it's because it doesn't. January 1st is a man made new year. It's spring. That's the Earth's new year. So, hey, everybody, welcome back to Yoga Eat Love. I'm Sabrina Callie, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about spring and nature's new year. And I want to just jump right in. The spring equinox is where we are right now. If you're listening to this podcast around when it's released, or if you just want some more information about nature's cycles, the spring equinox is this really beautiful moment in the cosmos and on this planet of balance. It's equal day and night, light and dark, meeting each other in balance. And of course, if you live near the equator, it's pretty much always in balance, which is something I've always gravitated towards. I've always really enjoyed and felt really alive and together during and around the equinoxes or when I lived close to the equator. That balance is really good for my nervous system. I like it a lot and I can really feel it. It's this point where, in the north at least, and obviously the opposite in the southern hemisphere, and it doesn't really count again if you're on the equator because it's pretty much equal all the time. But for us in the north, the sun crosses over at this point, and from here on out, we move into these even longer days with more light, more warmth, and you can feel it. The earth starts to wake up, things begin to grow again. The crocus and the daffodils start to peek through the soil, and there's this quiet return of life. And naturally, we feel it too. There's this like tiny bit more energy, a little bit more openness, and there's this subtle pull to like start moving again, to clean, right? Spring cleaning, it's a real thing. To reset something in our lives. It's this natural rebirth. This is the rebirth of the year. It's not an arbitrary date on a calendar that was created by, just so happens to be a pope in the 1500s, Pope Gregory, but that's besides the point. This is a natural one, right? This is a natural rebirth. It's more in sync with our planet. It's more aligned with who we are as human beings. And what I find really interesting is that this isn't just some like nice idea that I thought of when I was thinking about spring and what I wanted to talk about today with you all. This is actually how humans, our species, have lived on this planet for thousands of years. So if we go back, way back, to like our tribal beginnings and the first civilizations that began to arise, they followed, and you can see this all over the earth, they followed the lunar calendar, they followed the moon, they followed the sun. And that's what told them what time was. It was how they tracked time through the sun and the moon. Even the original Roman calendar, well, original, quote unquote, I'm making those little rabbit ears original, like I'm laughing to myself as I'm saying that. The Roman calendar, which was created by man, but was actually more in sync with the planet than what we go by now, the Gregorian calendar. So the Roman calendar, the new year began in March. Ta-da, it's March. It began with spring, right? It began with these spring holidays. So the spring equinox and the spring holidays, like Passover and Easter coming up soon, right? Which is all about rebirth and renewal. Like this is the energy of the planet. So like, why are we focusing on a new year in January. It doesn't really make any sense. But we still live by those constructs, right? But just to be aware of it. So just think of how we've set up this calendar, right? So in the Roman calendar, the new year began in March. So March was the first month. And we even use these Latin roots for September, October, November, and December, which would sept would be 7, oct would be 8, nov would be 9, and December, dec, or dec would be 10. Right? So it's even in the naming of our months. Like, we've gotten way off track with this. So March was the first month, and then September would be the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. So January and February are actually like the 11th and 12th. And I'm just mentioning this to like show that we're like a little off in our timing. And this January 1st got locked in by a pope at one point, and like, who knows what for their reasons or whatever it was to get back in sync, because Julius Caesar got it off. I did a little research about it, and like, we don't really need to go into it too deeply, but just think about this. Like, the real new year is now, when the earth is coming alive. It's not some administrative system for structure or politics, right? But the body and the earth starts to come alive now. This is our rebirth, and this is the rebirth of you. This is the rebirth of each of us. We're slowly moving into this next season. And you see this reflected across so many systems and ancient cultures. Like, think about this, our tribal people and our ancestors way back when. We tracked time by the sky, not by what someone told us, by the sun and the moon and the stars. And the new moon itself, which is also right around now, it marks the end of one cycle and the beginning of another. And we're also in between 2 eclipses right now. So when you have the new moon and this time in between the eclipses and the equinox, it's like a full reset, right? It's this really potent moment to clear, to plant, and begin again. And Ayurveda says the same thing. Like, these ancient cultures and bodies of wisdom, we're so right on with our own alignment as human beings instead of these man-made structures. So in Ayurveda, they talk about the same thing, about spring beginning when the earth starts to thaw. So when you feel that moisture and that heaviness start to soften, like the snow melts, the frozen earth begins to thaw, and those buds creep through the earth that you thought were gone forever, right? And in Ayurveda, this is kapha season, earth and water. So you can feel that density that we've accumulated through the winter. It starts to melt and move now, right? Which is why traditionally in yoga and Ayurveda, this is a great time to cleanse, to lighten the diet, to move the body, to clear that stagnation. And not as a trend, right? But because it's what your body wants naturally. And astrology reflects it too. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and that's why I wanted to do a whole episode. This spring equinox is such a rebirth. It is nature's new year. So in astrology, depending on where you're looking at the sky, or if you're looking at Western or Jyotish, it marks the beginning of this next season, right? It marks the beginning of moving into the next zodiac. So in Western astrology, and I believe it's the same in Jyotish too. I'm not an astrologer, but we're beginning to move into the first sign of the zodiac, Aries. And this is initiation energy. This is birth energy. This is that forward movement. It's that cosmic go signal. And in human design, if you're into that at all, we see the same pattern. So the human design new year actually begins earlier. I believe it's like the end of January, if I'm not mistaken. And that's when the sun moves into gate 41. And gate 41 is known as the start codon. It's the beginning of all experience. And what's interesting is that it's this energy of desire and imagination. It's this feeling of I want something new, but it's subtle. It's not the energy of action yet. It's the seed, right? And like think of how you feel in January. Like you're starting to think about what's next, but the action's not really there yet. It's this subtle intention and manifestation stage. It's the moment something sort of begins to stir inside you, and the winter holds that. Like the winter holds the seed beneath the soil. It gives it space to root, to deepen, and take shape beneath the surface. And now here we are at spring, right, where there's this balance. This is where the seed starts to sprout. This is where we actually start to feel that energy move again, start to act and start to create, and that energy of new life becomes available. So if January felt slow and unclear, or like you couldn't get going, there's nothing wrong with you, you weren't behind, you're in the dreaming phase, right? And we're now in spring. This is the becoming phase. And I love looking at all of this together. This human design aspect, yoga, Ayurveda, ancient cultures. I love looking at all that because we're really all saying the same thing, right? There might be in different language, but it's the same wisdom. Like we're not separate from nature. We are nature. So let's move with that natural energy and be in alignment with the energy of our planet and the sun and the moon. So if you're feeling this shift right now, I sure am. There's like more energy. There's this desire to clean things up or to change something, to get outside, to plant. It's not random. That's you coming back into rhythm, right? You're right on time. And this is where I like to bring it into something really simple. This season is about a reset and a refinement. This reset is to clear what's heavy, to shed those layers of the winter, to shed that stagnant energy, to shed what you've outgrown. It's like hitting a natural reset button or like a reboot on the computer. And this refinement, so reset and refine, it's to get really intentional about what you're actually choosing to grow now. And you can think about it in a few ways. In the yogic tradition and in Ayurveda, this is a beautiful time to cleanse. So clearing out the body, supporting the body, lightening things up. Even just adding more greens and more seasonal foods, right? The greens are coming into market now. Drinking more water, moving a little bit more. I'm even personally doing a little khichdi cleanse this weekend, just a short reset, a couple of days, where I'm just going to be eating khichdi, which if you want to learn more about what khichdi is, I can tell you there. I have a recipe in the kitchen clinic, and just reach out to me. I'll connect you with some more information. But khichdi is a classic Ayurvedic dish. That's made with like rice and dal and spices and things. And it can be very balancing, right? So I'm doing that this weekend. And then after the holiday, after Easter, I'm going to do a deeper 3-day cleanse. It's part of my mini cleanse. And you can do it too if you want. Again, just let me know. So I like to do my cleanses around the seasons. And this springtime is a really powerful time to do that. I find it very supportive, and it really helps to like shed that weight of winter. And it's nothing too extreme. It's just very supportive of the body. And that's amplified, when you align yourself with the season. Another thing I like to think about with this equinox, right? And this is a big one, and I talk about it a lot too. You'll find a lot of topics that come into play often. This idea of equanimity. And equanimity is this balance of mind and spirit. right? So as energy starts to pick up, it's easy to get right back into like pushing and rushing and doing too much. But this is really about staying steady within that change, right? So the shift of the season has this forward moving energy, and we almost need to remember that there's a balance, and to keep regulating our nervous system and moving through groundedness, not urgency. Because if we move too fast and we push and we rush and we force, we're not moving with our energy. It's too fast of a change, and we can get thrown off balance and off course. So equanimity is important. Keep regulating your nervous system and keep moving from groundedness, not urgency, right? Because spring is a slow activation. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's a slow melting and a slow growth. And it's not until later that the plants come into bloom, right? So don't bloom too quick. And then the third thing is balance. And like, what are you consuming? And this is about food, yes, right? I talked a little bit about cleanse and what to eat this time of year, but also what are you consuming in content, in conversations, in energy? Like, what are you consuming with all five senses? All of it matters. So this is a really beautiful time. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in the next podcast, but I want to focus right now on this time, because this is a very special time. It's a beautiful time to come back to your practices, your yogic practices, if you've let them go, to reignite them. If you're a steady practitioner, to dedicate yourself to a sadhana. It's a really beautiful time. Using your breath and your movement and your stillness. Get outside more, right? Go get your hands in the dirt. Let your life feel a little bit more connected to the outside world, right? We can get out of our nest now. The birds are flying around and singing, and they're getting ready to mate. Like, it's time to get outside and start getting our hands in the soil. And it doesn't mean adding more to your plate, right? It's never about that. It's about coming back to what works for you. So if you're feeling that pull to reset and realign, I have a few ways to support you right now. There's a beautiful Rebirth of You practice inside Yoga Soul Rising that I actually just uploaded, which is really aligned with this energy of renewal, where we're working with some postures and breath work and Kriya to align the energy on a subtle level and to balance the chakras, those inner energy centers. And there's this practice, and there's like 200 or more other practices in there that you can play with if you want to dive into. My gosh, there's so many different. I'm not even going to start to name them now, but they're targeted, right? So you can look through and see what practice feels right for you in this moment, or you can do your own chakra series. Everything's in there and available to you. There's also the nervous system mastery workshop that you can start right away if you want deeper support in finding that steadiness, right? We were talking about equanimity a little bit, like really getting into regulating that equal state, right? Where the nervous system is calm and you feel that balance and that steadiness within. That's something that you can do too. There's the mini cleanse that I mentioned. I'm going to be doing it myself just after Easter, but you can start it anytime that you want. And that's a 3-day cleanse. It's a personal cleanse, so you're on your own doing it, and you get all the information you need. It's mainly a juice cleanse. I like to think of it as a plant feast, but there's juices and broths and detox drinks and plant snacks, and it resets your digestion and your energy and your overall clarity. And most people that do it find it really helpful for weight stabilization. So whether you're like me or not, it's a really helpful way to clean and flush out the system and reset your metabolism. And I almost always lose like 5 to 10 pounds when I do the mini cleanse. And it's only 3 days, so it's very easy and manageable to do. And I also just shared a new moon spring activation on YouTube. So you can start there for free right now. And then another one, I guess I have a lot going on right now. It is spring. It's that season to begin again. If you're a local to Fire Island or are going to be on Fire Island over the next couple months, I'm going to be teaching an 8-week yoga for renewal series in person that starts April 16th. It's at the Fire Island School. So if you're interested, you can just message me. That'll be on Thursday afternoons for 8 weeks starting April 16th. And I'll be happy to send you all the details if you're interested. But, truly more than anything, this is just an invitation to pay attention. I wanted to share with you what I feel shifting. I wanted to share it with you so maybe you begin to notice what's shifting in yourself and to honor the timing of your own life and to nurture those seasons of your soul that match up with the seasons of nature, because nature's new year is now, right? It wasn't in January. So you don't have to feel bad if you tried to start something and it didn't work. Your energy is probably more aligned and more supportive for you to start something now than it was back then. Because you don't need to force a new beginning either, right? And if now is not the right time, it's not the right time either. You're already in one. Like spring isn't just happening around you, it's happening within you. So I'll leave you there for now. That's all for today. I wanted to make it short and sweet. Let's move with your energy, not against it. One breath, one practice at a time. Until next time, namaste.